$2 bills. Now, a lot of people think that $2 bills are no longer printed. That's not the case. Here's the reality. You could actually go to your local bank and pick up $2 bills today. That's right. I'll actually do this so I can go to the store and pay with them, and I can pay with tips as well. And people lose their minds when they see me pay with a $2 bill. They think it's the coolest thing ever. Now, don't get me wrong. When I was younger, I thought the same thing, but here's the reality. There are only certain features on these $2 bills that make them very rare, and in this video, I'm going to go over everything you need to know, so stay tuned and let's hop into it right now. So first of all, if you're going through a pack of $2 bills that you got from your bank and you see something like this on your $2 bill, there's more than likely a chance that you have what's called an ink smear error. Essentially, during the printing process, there's an extra amount of black ink that happened. Now, you got to be careful because some people will see a video like ours and get a black Sharpie and try to turn their $2 bill into $119 like this one sold for, so be careful out there, guys. Now, this next note sold for $180. Now, there's a few things I want to talk about. First of all, this note got graded by PMG at a 58 DPQ. 58 means that there's a fold on this bill. Now, the higher the grade, the better it is. So if you put a fold on your bill, the grade is going to go down and the value is going to get lower. Now, the next thing I'm going to show you is a small little FW on this bill. So look on the bottom right-hand side. You see that FW? That's important because it tells you where the bill was printed. There's only 2 places in the whole US that prints paper money. You've got Fort Worth, Texas with the FW here, and you've got Washington, DC. I've had the privilege myself to have a ground floor tour of the US BEP in Washington, so we could see the entire printing process. I digress, but the big reason why this bill sold for so much money is for 2 reasons. First of all, it's a star note, so looking at the serial number, at the end of the serial number, you're gonna have a star, but that star is not normal because this is what we call a solid star error note. Typically, that star is not gonna be filled in, but it was filled in on accident during the printing process, and someone was able to turn a $2 bill into $180. Now, here's what I've really been wanting to show you guys. So look in the back bottom right corner of the bill. You have what we call a back plate position. The back plate position essentially is where this bill is located. Now, that plate position can have an influence on the value based upon the size. Now, if the size is smaller or bigger than the front plate position, then you could have a mule note. Now, while we're on the front of the bill, looking at the plate position, remember the earlier bill we were talking about with the FW? You'll notice this bill does not have an FW. And if you were paying attention, that means this bill was printed at the Washington, DC facility. The previous note with the FW was printed at the Fort Worth, Texas facility. Based upon how many notes were printed and if it's a mule note or not, that can have an influence on your bill. This specific banknote, you don't have to worry about the back plate or the front plate position. All you gotta know is that that is a thing that can happen. The main reason why this PMG graded 63 EPQ note sold for $312 is because of a very small detail. Look very closely at the serial number. You'll notice that the prefix or that first letter is mismatched. So at the bottom left you have an H, at the top right you have a B. If your bill has that, you have a very rare banknote. Keep it safe because this $2 bill got turned into $312. I'll be brief on this one. This is what we call a paper jam error or a paper tear. Essentially, while the bill is being printed, it got torn during the printing process. PCGS authenticated the error to be genuine and it sold for $420. Looking at the back of this bill, nothing too crazy going on here. One area that I do want to point out is the centering of the margin. So that white border around the bill, the more centered it is with an uncirculated bill, meaning no folds, the higher the grade can go. Now, looking at the front of the bill, you can see this is what we call an offset printing error. This bill was graded by PMG at a 45, which is telling me there's at least 3 folds on the bill. If it was to have graded higher and it did not have those folds, it would have sold for a lot more money than $600. $2,160. I want to start on the back of the bill once again. Looking at the back, this is the first print on all US federal issued currency. Flipping it over to the front of the bill, you're going to see the black ink everywhere. That is the second print, okay? Now, the third and final print during the printing process is called the overprint. And on this specific bill from 1976, the overprint is accidentally inverted, okay? So an inverted printed overprint will drastically increase the value of your $2 bill. So when you're hunting for these $2 bills, look out for the inverted overprint, which is the third print, because that is going to increase the value of your $2 bill significantly. It sold for $2,160. Looking at the back of this $2 bill, I like starting on the back because it really shows off the bill. This one sold for $4,080. Now, when you're looking at it, it looks like someone just got a pair of scissors and cut it off. But remember, the back of the bill is the first print. Flip it over. The front of the bill is the second print, and the third and final print here is that overprint. But as you can see, the first print got printed like normal, the second print got printed like normal, and between the second printing and the third printing, the bill got folded over and printed on with that green seal on the right hand side. This is such a cool error. So if you were to unflip that corner piece right there, there would be no seal, it would be blank underneath except the large letter 2 spelled out because the second print came down easily. To keep a long story short, if you come across something like this, you've got something really rare. It sold for $4,080. We hope you enjoyed this video. Hit that like button and we'll see you in the next one.